Thank you for tuning in. You're listening to SynthWorld on WSLR LP 96.5 FM Sarasota and WBPV LP 100.1 FM Bradenton. I'm your host, DJ Nomad, and I am psyched to be here with indie electronica, I guess kind of just soft synthwave-ish, retrowave music, producer from Massachusetts, I believe, and it's going to be Casual Gardening, aka Nate. Nate, thanks for being here, man.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. I believe you're our first guest from Massachusetts, and maybe,
Really?
yeah, I believe so. I've had a couple guys from New York, but you are the first Massachusetts representative that I know. So congrats to you on that.
Nice. Thank
And
you.
surviving this terrible winter that you were just mentioning, I'm glad you're okay, and hopefully you're ready to kind of bloom and do some gardening yourself here somewhat soon.
I've actually been. I got some flowers, some tulips and daffodils down in the front.
Perfect. Okay. Well, so you are more than ripe, if you will, to talk about your most recent release and kind of, I would say, your grand entrance, if you will, into the retro wave scene, and grand indeed, because it really is a stellar album, and I want to get into all of that with you. But really back just a little bit, I want to put you on the map here. I know you're in Massachusetts. Can you speak to what city you're in, if that's originally where you're from, or where you are originally from, and how you would say the kind of indie electronica scene is there?
Yeah, I'm from well, I live in right now Worcester. It's the second biggest city aside from Boston and Massachusetts. There doesn't really seem to be a whole lot of like an electronica scene here. Um the times that I've been to shows like that were usually like George Clanton when he comes to Cambridge. But
Mhm.
that's really it. Otherwise, it's like New York City I have to go to if there's going to be anything like that.
Well, not a huge surprise on some level, although it's great to hear you mentioned Clanton. I just saw him last March, and
Oh,
for the
really?
yeah, and I'm sure it sounds like you've seen him. It was quite the show. I mean, definitely one of the best
Oh,
concerts, maybe the best concert I've ever been to, at least from a fan perspective. So happy to hear that. But would you say there's not much of a music scene in general, or is it kind of dominated by like rock music or something like that?
yeah, it's really heavily dominated by like heavier music, rock, metal, hardcore, things like that.
Okay, so we've got kind of an idea of the environment you're in. Um, outside of your music production, though, just to get to know you a little bit better as a person, how would you describe your life, if you will, in maybe, 5 words or something like that?
Do a lot of like 3D printing and 3D design.
Cool.
Otherwise, I'm just kind of like lounging around, doing whatever comes to mind. I don't know, watching TV, scrolling through things.
Tinkering away, it sounds like, if you will, and you're
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it.
there's nothing wrong with that. What do you do for a living?
I work at a coffee shop
Oh,
during the
cool.
day, and then I come
Okay.
home at night, just like mess with music or whatever.
Do you remember in your childhood, do you have like memories, if you will, of where on that whole timeline you kind of stumbled into your musical journey, or like what maybe set you up to get into, the music that you make now?
I actually started making heavier music and listening to it growing up. Like my dad is responsible for getting me into a lot of the music that I used to listen to.
Hmm.
Um, I still do kind of listen to it here and there, but I feel like my music taste has really calmed down a lot. So that's why I listen to the stuff I do now. But yeah, I originally started with like rock, metal, that heavy, like whatever was on the radio. We have this radio station up here that was known for like alternative rock, so that's pretty much what we listened to in the car all the time. It wasn't until like later, like recent years, that I started getting into this kind of music.
Do you have like a area of that you maybe still have a soft spot for?
Oh man, I actually have a whole playlist that I put together on Spotify. this is what I used to listen to in my raw XD days. We got like Asking Alexandria, Of Mice and Men, Attack Attack,
Mhm.
all kind of stuff. Chiodos, Bring Me the Horizon, Devil Wears Prada. There was this band I actually used to listen to a lot called Sky Eats Airplane. They had a lot of like
Hmm.
synthesizer and glitchy stuff, and they really got me into making that electronic sound in heavier music.
Hmm.
So I feel like they kind of helped like bridge that gap from like going from heavier music to appreciating like synthesizers and like electronic instruments.
Oh, interesting. Well, that perfect segue into my next question for you, which is about how you kind of it sounds like segued from the heavier, the darker, the more kind of rock infused music, if you will, to the retro kind of indie electronica scene. How did you find your way into that area of just, nostalgia and 80s and 90s synthesizers? And then how did you also come up with the name Casual Gardening?
A little under like 10 years ago, I was actually going through a really bad breakup, and I had a project car that I actually still have. It's the same one. It was a 1981 Volkswagen Rabbit, and I was working on it, and I was like, I got to listen to music, but I don't want to listen to like I got to find some new music that like we didn't listen to together. So I had to find my own thing. So I was like,
Sure.
why don't I check out this vaporwave thing that like everyone's been talking about and I've been hearing about on the internet? Like, I'll give it a chance. So I put it on Spotify, and I really liked it. So I kept listening to it, and I looked more into it, and it turned out it was supposed to be like kind of based off of like 80s and 90s music typically.
Mhm.
And at the time I was kind of going through like an 80s kick, like listening to a lot of 80s music. I had the car from the 80s. So I was just kind of like going through a thing. And the music just stuck. It became really interesting to me. I liked how it sounded. It wasn't so like angry all the time that I was used to listening to, and it gave like different better feelings.
Yeah.
And
You.
the name, I don't even know where that came from, honestly. I think I was just thinking about a lot of different things that I could name this project, and it just kind of came to my head. Like it just built itself there. I don't know.
Well, it
But I
sounds like
was like,
you
it's
like
perfect.
gardening, so maybe there's a little, influence there, right?
A little bit, yeah. The gardening actually kind of came because of this. I was like, my name is Casual Gardening. Why don't I like it sounds fun. It sounds nice. It's peaceful. So let's get some flowers going.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm happy to hear that somehow vaporwave, chillwave, synthwave, all of those like the things that are meshed together in your music have brought you outside and into nature somehow.
Yeah, right?
That's great to hear. Yeah, I would have definitely guessed that you're given your moniker that at minimum you are someone maybe who growing up was loved being outside and really enjoyed the outdoors, but
Yeah.
sort of touching on some of the deeper philosophical things. I never actually asked anybody this question, but somehow we sometimes like I'm dancing around it or getting to it anyway. But I'm always curious because I had just like everybody have certain deep-seated fears, and I'm curious what if if any what you might say are like your greatest fears and why.
I'd say two spiders, because they're just, to me the fear with spiders is I don't know which ones bite and which ones are poisonous. So they just all kind of like freak me out a little bit. In general though, I'd say being completely alone.
Like
So there's
28 days later kind of thing, waking up
yeah,
and everybody's gone.
yeah. Because like, what do you do in that situation? Like, there's nothing out there anymore. There's just nothing left other than just like wait it out.
I don't know what I would do there. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't want to gloss over the compilation album that you did with Dead Pisces.
Yeah.
Not an artist that I know of. I got the chance after. listening to some of this album to go through some of that person's or that artist catalog and kind of get some more of a taste of what they do. Really cool artist. You know, if you're listening, definitely give Dead Pisces a listen. What's the I don't I should have should have translated it, but I don't know Japanese or Chinese. I'm not sure which that is. Korean. What is the name of that album in English?
It is Japanese for roughly landscaping the water features.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yes. Okay. And again, kind of a naturey, definitely like vapor wavy album concept and even title in English, right? So can you speak to like the how you guys got to know each other, how you came up with the idea to do the album and why you guys find each other to be, you know, a good partner in that time at least.
So I actually, the first song that I ever wrote as casual gardening was Special TV Offer, and I posted it on Reddit just to see like what everyone thought. And it got some good feedback, and I actually had one guy reach out to me, and he was like, "Hey, I like this song. I made this little video from like old footage that I had from like the '90s, and he made me this little like music video clip." And I thought that was really cool. I posted it on Instagram and everything. And Dead Pisces saw that and the Reddit post, and he reached out to me and he was like, "Hey, I like this song a lot. Like, you want to do something together? Like, let's do a collab together. Like, maybe we can release a tape or something." So I was like, "Yeah, let me just write some more music because that's the only song I have so far." So all of the music that was on that album was actually kind of written for the album. I didn't have that music before, so all of those songs I wrote to go on that album.
That's really impressive, though, in terms of a first track, like
Thank
in
you.
terms of the quality, the production. And I mean, I don't know if he mentioned it or if it's in the footage, because that's definitely one of the tracks I want to use to promote this interview and the radio show with your music. It has so much of there's like a specific sound, but the entire track itself sounds like you could have easily pulled that from an episode of Rugrats. And I mean that in the best possible way. I grew up watching that show,
Oh, me
loving
too.
so much about that. And so when I heard that, I mean, again, I didn't even get to that point of the album where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm blown away. Because that's one of the last tracks on your most recent album. But incredible. Also, just to like point out, the other one that was really blew my mind for listeners on that album was Water Feature. That really silky smooth, beautiful, perfect name for the track. Um, just a great album. How would you say, did you guys work together making it, or did you just kind of put the tracks together and release it? You know, why did you find him to be a good collab partner and you were comfortable doing all of that?
It was really easy to work with him, honestly. Above all, like he's a great guy. We kept in touch. We're still in touch for the most part. He kind of like disappeared from Instagram for a bit, but we all had a like a group chat, kind of like a creative circle kind of group chat. So it was me, him, and a bunch of other guys who made similar music. So we like eventually just became friends afterward. But yeah, he was really easy to work with, really fun to work with. We both had our own separate tracks that we just put together for the album. We didn't really work together on like our songs. He just had his, I had mine.
If you could choose an artist or two that you're kind of you feel like you would really be interested in doing collab with, song, album, who would it be?
I would say if I really had to choose one, probably someone like Saint Pepsi or Luxury Elite. I think Saint Pepsi would be really fun to do a collab with because I would love to hear what say we did like a collab on one song. I would love to hear what my style and his style mixed would sound like because he has
Oh,
kind of like
yeah.
a future funk kind of style, very like dancey, very like punchy kicks.
Oh yeah. I mean, it would be that would be interesting to hear because again, like you said, his vaporwave music definitely leans more towards the like new disco, future funk,
Yeah.
soulful kind of stuff that is dancey. At
Yeah.
least more dancey in nature, although I know I'm almost certain he has some more like down tempo releases. And then your stuff's, I mean, with the exception of a couple of the tracks, is definitely a little more like mellow, right? And
Mhm.
so yeah, St. Pepsi's a great answer. I don't know, did you get a chance to watch the Nobody Here, the Vaporwave documentary that just came out?
So funny story. I was in that for a split second. Did you happen to catch probably
Oh, was it your
around the like
story?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
The guy in the Mac Tonight mask, that was me.
that's amazing. How did you find your way into that moment?
So I wanted to do a bigger project with my 3D printer and I haven't made anything that big before. It's actually right here on my wall right now. Um,
Oh,
so I printed it in pieces, I put it together, and I went all out. I painted it and everything, made giant sunglasses for it because I wanted to do something like something kind of related to like what I was into at the time. Still am, obviously, but you know, I wanted to kind of put those two together, like make something that I could wear and use. There was Flamingo Fest coming up later on next year, the year after. And so St. Pepsi was playing, and he kind of brought the whole Mac Tonight thing back with his song "Enjoy Yourself." Anything that you see with
yep.
Mac Tonight in the vaporwave kind of context is most likely from St. Pepsi. And so I heard that he was playing there, and I got the idea of I'm gonna show up dressed as Mac Tonight. This is gonna be perfect. This is gonna be so much fun. And before I even walk in, it turned out we were standing in the wrong line because there was a metal show going on like right next door, and we were standing in line waiting, and I was like, why isn't this line moving? Are we in the right place? Like, it's the show's going on. Why aren't they letting anyone in? So someone else comes out and they're like, hey, I see you have the Mac Tonight mask. Are you here for Flamingo Fest? It's this way. So they got me in, made it in the doors, and this guy was he had a video camera, like a camcorder, and he
Mm.
was like, bro, do you want to go meet St. Pepsi? He's out back right now. He took me to him and he recorded his reaction to basically meeting Mac Tonight, the guy he essentially brought back from the dead.
Uh-huh.
And that was an experience. That was amazing. And I just kind of like roamed around the festival dressed as Mac Tonight and got tons of pictures, met all kinds of people. It was so much fun. And later, uh, Luxury Elite was going on, and I think it was one of the guys from My Pet Flamingo. He came up to me and he said, "Hey, do you want to get on stage?" And I was like, "I don't know. I can't dance. I don't know like what I would do. I would probably just embarrass myself. Like, let me think about it a bit. Let me think about it." And then during St. Pepsi's set, I was standing right on the side of the stage. I got as close as I could. I'm like, this is what I'm here for. Like,
Let's
I
go.
get a
Let's do this.
yeah, yeah. And the song came on, "Enjoy Yourself," and he looked at me, and one of the other guys, one of the promoters, came over, and he was like, "Let's go, come on, like, give me your hand." And I gave him my hand, and he pulled me up there, and I had to think for a bit, like, what I was gonna do, because of course I'm gonna end up on stage with Saint Pepsi. Like, there's no way they're gonna not let me end up on stage with him. So I got an idea of what I was gonna do. I was just gonna like fake DJ everything while I'm up there. I don't have to dance. I don't have to do anything that could like humiliate myself. And they got me up there. People loved it. It was so much fun. I pretended to like DJ with Saint Pepsi for a bit for a couple songs, and you know had my little spotlight moment, had my fun, and then I got back down. And I think it's at like 52,000 something likes right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's making its way around
And that's
still.
that's on your casual gardening Instagram?
Yeah. Well, that one I'm just tagged in it, but I think it's posted by My Pet Flamingo.
Wow. I mean, what an amazing story in
Yeah.
general. And what a great kind of introduction, if you will, to the whole vaporwave and kind of like retro wave scene of people and the culture, which was, as you saw, very for the most part, very friendly and welcoming and fun.
Oh yeah.
So what a cool first for it sounds like maybe one of your first experiences with all of that. That's
Yeah.
yeah, man, that's so cool to hear. And St. Pepsi, obviously a legend, and for you to find your way in some very sneaky way into that vaporwave documentary is pretty cool. So let me hold on one sec. Wait, crack this
Yeah.
bad boy, and then we can dive into kind of the main event here, uh, which is your most recent release. Let me go back real quick. I just want to make sure I get this right because I believe it was recent. Yes, February. So beginning of February of this year, you released "Learn Casual Gardening at Home!" Exclamation point. Don't forget that. And just again, such an incredible album. Certainly a really impressive first release, if you will, first like full production. And it has so many of the kind of emotional, cultural trappings of someone that grew up in, like was a child growing up in the 90s and maybe the early 2000s. Just like myself, that you would truly need to make this album, I think. I don't think you would be able to pull as much of that if you grew up in a different era. So, I'm
Yeah.
just wondering, we mentioned Rugrats, but are there any other like pieces of retro media or like cultural, zeitgeist from that time that you might credit with that touch?
Well, I was a young kid during the 90s and wasn't really like thinking too much about much until like I don't know, like late elementary school, middle school. So like during the time, I'd say just the feeling of not really having to care about much, like the carefree kind of feeling. So that's kind of what I most go for to kind of recreate in the feeling that I want my music to give off when I write that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think absolutely. I mean, you nailed that. I think that's true of so much of like the retro wave music in general, whether it's the heavy, fast stuff or it's the lighter stuff, whatever. A lot of it is meant to be not just like to touch on kind of nostalgic heartstrings, if you will, but I think also to kind of be some sort of genuine relief from the modern world,
Yeah.
from what it is now. So I mean, did an incredible job. I mean, for me, a lot of it is like I feel like the album reminds me of what like running around on like a sunny summer day. A lot of it has that kind of like FM Skyline, that kind of like utopia scholastic, I think is what they call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Feel to it, right? Where it sounds like something from like either like a little kid's TV show or like a nature documentary that we would watch when they would wheel in the TV on the days
Yeah.
we got lucky enough to have that. Like like that's what I hear so much in the background is yeah, either like a show or like some sort of like documentary about how to do something. I know that kind of influenced the name for the album itself, right? It has that very like
Yeah.
at the time you had like at the late 80s and the 90s, you had that explosion of like DIY home videos and like you know what
Hmm.
I mean? That whole thing was the world was changing in a lot of interesting ways. And I mean, obviously the world in the US wasn't perfect in the 90s, but it felt like there was sort of an air of optimism and positivity that is so not there right now. And
Yeah.
I want to bring that back because that I remember what that was like and that felt so good. Do you have any great gardening memories or stories? And do you have any maybe tips for how to best garden it or how to best casually garden?
I'd say my best gardening tip that I actually learned recently would be to just do a little bit of research and don't accidentally get seeds for plants that are invasive to your area. I never thought of that.
Sure.
I didn't even know it was a thing. I thought it was just going to be like flowers and bushes and stuff, but apparently there are seeds that you should get for um, your region of the country. So I had to get, well, I didn't really have to get, but I bought a pack of like it was like hummingbird and butterfly mix, but it was a specific northeastern mix. So it was all flowers and plants that grow kind of native to this area and aren't invasive.
Hmm.
Um, Favorite memory though would probably be when I was a kid. When I would like spend the weekend or the night at my grandmother's house, she was really big into gardening. So I would always help her with her garden, plant flowers, take care of the stuff with her. I had my own like gardening gloves and little children's set of like gardening tools. So that's probably my best memory of that.
It planted the seed, no pun intended, if you
Yes.
will, for later creative endeavors. That's amazing.
That's actually kind of what well, I can't really say what the song was written about, but when the song Flower Garden 1997, when that was finished, and I would listen to it and listen to it and listen to it. Every time I would, it would kind of make me think of that memory, like, back then with my grandmother in her garden. So that's why I titled it that.
I want to know, and I think I saw your smile raise on your face when I said it. That album reminds me so much of a sunny day in the summer,
Hmm.
or the fall, maybe running around. No, no, it's got to be the summer when we're out of school. Um, so I'm just
It's like
curious.
summer vacation.
Oh, summer vacation. Okay, I like where you
Yeah.
had that there. I didn't think of that. But yeah, I mean, do you have whether it's vacation or at home, if you had to like, you know, let's say you're like on your deathbed or something like that, right? And you get to choose one sunny summer day as a child to kind of relive. How would you kind of describe the perfect sunny summer day as in your childhood?
If I got a chance to go back to, like, let's say the 90s as a child
Mhm.
and relive the perfect day, I would say obviously summer vacation, endless summer vacation, riding my bike around the sidewalks, going back inside for that Capri Sun, going out, changing to
Mhm.
the bathing suit, run around the sprinkler a few times. Um, the It's gonna sound kind of off topic, but the song "Pinch Me" by Bare Naked Ladies really makes me think of that a lot. Where they say like,
Yeah.
take a drink right from the hose, change into some drier clothes,
Yeah.
and climb the stairs up to my room and then sleep away the afternoon. That's like the perfect summer day for childhood me.
That's great. That it puts a smile on my face hearing you mention the bare naked ladies. Yeah, dude, it just felt like a simpler time. I don't know. Maybe it was, and maybe there is something to that, or people were just too nostalgic. For me, like one of the things I remember the most, my favorite color is green. So like
Oh,
plants,
me too.
trees, everything. Oh, okay. Well, here we are. Um, like some of my favorite, I hope to like if I can choose the environment I'm in when I die, I hope it's like a beautiful lush field of grass and flowers and stuff
Oh
like that.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Or at a forest somewhere or both. Yeah, one of my favorite memories was we had a park really close to where I lived, which had a one of those what do you call it? Like a carousel thing that spins. Wheel, what do you call those? It's gonna kill me. It's
Is it
basically
the thing where you like hold on and kick and spins and
it's
spins?
basically a big
Yeah.
circular metal platter with metal hand railings, and you can spin it.
Yeah.
They don't make them anymore because kids were getting
Oh yeah, they're getting
would get injured
launched.
on them. Yeah, but I do remember those were around when I was a kid, and there was the park that had in the middle of the park. It had that in the playground, and it had trees above, beautiful big trees above that had a big canopy, and so you could lay down and put your feet in the center of that thing and spin it or have a friend spin it for you and look up at the canopy of the leaves moving around in front above you. I
Sounds
mean,
so nice.
yeah, no, straight above out of a movie or something, right? But that memory is so deeply burned in my head that like if I close my eyes, I can kind of picture it. Like anyway. Like many things, I can remember that deeply, and I wonder if that park is still looks like that. Anywho, thank you for that answer. That was lovely. I appreciate your willingness to kind of dive into that mindset there. So, do you have any parts of your production process that you feel like you would like most or least recommend for, let's say, like a newer producer?
Most recommend learn how to use compressors, learn about glue compression, equalization, and loudness and clipping. Those are probably the most important things that that I can give for advice.
Now, I want to ask you, we kind of touched on it or talked about it a moment ago about these kind of the explosion of these like DIY home videos, right? And like
Mhm.
instructional videos and docu-style kind of stuff that was just so big again, like kind of like I think the later 80s and I know the 90s because I had to watch a lot of them as a kid in school. Um, do you recall any of those? Like, could you even come up with like a top three?
Oh yeah.
Okay, go ahead. I mean, I know Home Improvement probably like itself has sort of a place in your heart, but like, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Um I don't even know if it was really 90s or if it came out after that, but How It's Made, I always loved watching that
Mhm.
when I was younger. I thought it was like the most interesting thing in the world. And then the I think it was National Geographic. Those like science movies that they'd play us on in science class. You know, they'd roll in the TV, the lights would go off, and you know you're not doing anything all class but watching movies. Probably those.
I really do appreciate your time. I don't want to waste it. And I hope I did a good job of taking stab at your your music and everything about you. But I do want to get a good vision for where you are going to go forward, whether there's no path forward or a whole series of releases you want to do. What is like your vision for where the at least maybe the near future for casual gardening is?
I think I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. To put it to you this way, the album that I just came out with, I didn't think it would sound like that. I thought it was gonna sound more like so the song on there, Flower Garden 1997, how it's like a super mellow, like kind of muted kind of sound. I thought the whole thing was gonna sound like that, and then it kind of ended up sounding like a little bit brighter and like bouncier in some parts. Um, I wasn't even planning on putting like a drum and bass kind of song on it. That was a last minute decision. So
Hmm.
I guess whatever just comes out, whatever I write next, I like the style that I'm doing, and I would like to keep with that. But I also like to experiment a lot. So it could be the same. It could be a completely different sound. I have no clue.
Keep making great music, and just keep doing what you're doing. And the last thing here before you go is just for the SynthWorld listeners, where can they go to learn how to casually garden
Um,
or learn how to casual garden at home?
you could probably I'd say if you wanted to learn how to casually garden at home, you could go to your front yard, you go to your backyard, wherever there's dirt, or you could go to casualgardening.bandcamp.com.
Mm. Okay, I've heard that's a pretty fertile garden. There's a lot of
Pretty fertile.
good soil in there. So, yeah, okay. So, lots of places to casually garden and find your music and kind of explore what you've released and also follow you on this artistic journey. So, again, that was Worcester, Massachusetts-based indie electronic, somewhere in between, chill wave, chill synth, vaporwave, and synthwave. I really could put my finger on it. I don't need to. It doesn't matter. Indie electronic producer, Casual Gardening, aka Nate. Thank you again so much for your time. I really do
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
so much.
I appreciate it. It was a pleasure talking to you with you. I promise I will get on iTunes and see if I can find your album now because I'm kind of curious. Um, but are there any before you depart the synthverse and you blast off onto your own little planet out there, do you have any messages, any final words for the synth world listeners before you go?
Um, have fun, enjoy the music, enjoy life while it's here.
There you go. Some deep, short but sweet, and some deep and poignant words from Casual Gardening. Thanks again, man. Appreciate it. Hopefully, we'll get the chance to check in some other time when you've released some more music and kind of have expanded beyond. And until next time I see you, stay retro.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
I'll see you later.
I'll see you later. I'll see you later. I'll see you later. I'll see you later. I'll see you later. I'll see you later. I'll see you later. I'll see you later. I'll see you later. I'll see you later.